Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers, I'm back. I kind of match Angela. Look, y'all. I mean, not really, but kind of. From like here up. All right. So you get one more out of me before I hit the high road to the beach. I wanted to finish up Angela's testimony and just wrap that up for everybody. So you're not waiting until Saturday. After Angela was Billy's niece, who he gave the truck to. So I will do all that and whatever comes tomorrow on Saturday, but I will be doing the short. So go like and subscribe and get the little bell on YouTube and you'll know if I upload tomorrow real quick. Thanks to Nikki, Diane, Lisa, Tyra, Lil, Emily, and someone, literally someone. Beck and Carol for the donations. I appreciate it. By the way, Ashley S. Ethan loves you. He's super grateful for you and congrats on your baby girl. Yes, yes. I love the little babies. All right. So clearly I don't know about dating apps. Plenty of Fish is a regular dating site. Thank you guys for schooling me. I thought, I guess I just assumed because fish was religious, but apparently it's not. I think it's Christian Mingle for people who want to find somebody that shares their faith. All right. So Biggie had a really good point, which is, what did Angela think when Chris Sr. called Billy's phone twice right before he was murdered? And that is a really good point, Biggie. You should be up there. They should hire you on for the rest of this trial, dude. Thanks to Biggie. He was the Lone Ranger today. He pumped out the notes for me. So, music fact before we jump in. Some of the videos that were banned on MTV. Girls on Film by Duran Duran. Girls, Girls, Girls by Motley Crue. I Want to Break Free by Queen. And Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot. All right, so how did Angela finish up her time on the stand? So the defense asks about the password book with George's name and asks if any of those passwords were for Vine. And she said some were, but some were also for George. So defense attorney Nash asks if she recalls a request about a truck from Jake. So apparently Jake got a truck when he was around 14 that was worth $16,000 and George got one that was worth $3,000 to $4,000. But was Angela say there was no favoritism between George and Jake? She also said, oh, Lord have mercy. I mean, you say that because you're up on the stand and he's like right there, but actions speak louder, mama. Angela says she also never heard Jake say that George was going to the hot place. Defense says you couldn't make Jake testify against you, but you're on here testifying against George. And she said it's not easy for her to do that. He asks if she took an iPad to get the screenshots she thought were important. And he also pointed out she shared them with family, and she said yes. The defense shows her a picture of Hannah Mae with somebody. Eric couldn't see. It's one of those things where in the courtroom, actually, we get a better view here at home if they show it than they do inside there. She said Hannah Mae moved on with Charlie, Gilly, and Corey, and they show her Corey's address in an exhibit, but she doesn't recognize it. In the letter to Frederica, she said she couldn't do that to Jake, which means make him testify against her. And she said, don't tell me I don't love my kids. Defense asks if she thought the murders were the right thing to do, and she said yes, because Billy kept saying it was the only option they had. Anna. So the problem Angela had with Hannah Mae was she said she didn't stop loving Hannah Mae, but she had an issue with how dirty Sophia would be when she came back to them from Hannah Mae's house. So the defense kind of crosses back around to those abuse allegations, alleged abuse allegations, and asks, why not take her to the doctor? They're really hammering in a few things. Number one, Jake was your favorite, and maybe you're up here, because you're testifying against your own son because you didn't want to do it against your other. or make him testify against you. But she said actually that these concerns about the alleged abuse actually happened during the plannings of the murders, which is interesting because if you think about it, had they taken her to the doctor and on the very teeny tiny remote chance that it were true, they would have gotten her easy and none of it needed to happen to begin with, but it definitely would have been the reason to call everything off and just let everybody stay alive. Nash asked if the issue with Suggs was a health issue, and Angela thought really she just had a rash. And she said she really just doesn't know why they didn't seek any kind of an exam for her. When asked about who specifically Suggs accused of being inappropriate with her, Angela explains what Sophia told them. And the defense asks, so you find the statement of a 2-year-old reliable? Angela said she believes what Sophia told her, and Angela said they didn't trust CPS and didn't think they would help her. That's Child Protective Services. She also mentions on the stand Frankie kissing Sophia on the mouth and little Chris being rough with Sophia Suggs. She also said George loved Sophia as much as Jake did. She said, again, the text had nothing to do with the planning or the inbox where Hannah Mae said they would have to kill her. It all originated with Billy, not her. She said they didn't leave Ohio for Alaska due to the accusations, and she did keep up with the case through social media while they were up there. The defense brings up George told her while they were in Alaska that he wanted to live alone with Josie. And when asked about Beth, she said she didn't like her for a list of reasons, and neither did George. She said she didn't stay with Beth when they dropped her off at the Walmart when she changed her clothes. She said Beth gave both her and Rita a hug and they left. Although they did follow her in. I believe that was something that was testified to by Scheider. Because remember, they sent that undercover cop there to kind of make sure everything went okay. Angela said she would have allowed BCI to search the trailers, and she said they left items laying around in the yard, and none of them were happy about it. Oh, well. She says she really didn't want to stay in Missouri, but once back in, before they left for Alaska, they lawyered up, by the way. Their attorney told them, don't come back and don't talk on phones. The defense says, in spite of your attorney thinking you were innocent, he told you to do these things. And Angela said yes. She thought, number one, that once they lawyered up, BCI couldn't bother him. Also, she said he advised them not to talk on the phone due to Chris Sr. and Billy's trafficking of marijuana. The defense asked what were Billy's plans, and she said murder. She didn't question him, and she let him make the decisions. She didn't know the instructions Billy was giving to Jake in preparation for the murders. And she said she should have stopped them when they left that night to go kill the Roden family and Hannah Gilley. She said she had two thoughts. She had second thoughts about it from the beginning. So Nash shows an exhibit, which was a screenshot from her iPad about chloroform, and asked if they ever discussed killing people with that. And Angela says they did not. Lord, y'all, these people. Angela said they were all present when they talked about using masks that night. And she said she talked to George and Jake in the kitchen about going through with it and whether they wanted to. And ultimately, they agreed. And as we know now, they say the idea was that they had to protect Suggs. Angela said there was yelling at the home sometimes. And if you remember, Beth said that Vine and Sophia would kind of go in the corner and act aggressively with each other. And that was occurring when there were arguments in the house. She doesn't remember these conversations that had code words about silencers like pink bunnies. She doesn't remember anything arriving in the mail or Jake making silencers. Nash asks if she told the state that if Jake thought the murders were the right choice, she's with him if that's what he decides. And she said she didn't recall saying that. So the defense, of course, says, do you remember you were being recorded during all this? And said he said the exhibit they have proves you said just that. He asked if she still believes that, and Angela says no, she's changed her mind, and she didn't want anyone to be murdered, but she acknowledges she did nothing to stop it. She hasn't heard or read anything about Jake's proffer, and she said she wasn't aware of any stolen trucks or chop shops. As far as who went that night, the defense asks if she knew who was going, and she says all she knew is that she did not go. She didn't know Jake fired that 40 caliber Glock in the cabin near the house that was about 50 feet away, I think they said, to see how loud it was. If you remember, Billy did not have a silencer, and there was concern because I guess Frankie lived, I mean, you could probably throw a rock and hit his house from Chris's, that maybe he would hear. And as we know now, Frankie was awake when all this was going on. So she doesn't remember who she texted from their phones the night of the murders. She did not hear the truck leave that night, and she never has watched Boondock Saints, but I bet she knows that little catchphrase. When asked how she slept the night of the murders, knowing that Jake, George, and Billy were going out to commit mass murder, she said she worked all day and took a prescription ibuprofen and fell asleep. Oh, man. Oh, y'all. Nash points out she will only serve 4 years for each life she helped take. She said she does regret involving her mother, Rita, but ultimately she was trying to protect her family. She says she has regret and remorse and that she's sorry, and she knows that's just not enough. But Sophia was a baby, and Sophia was her family. She still says they never told and she never asked about the night of the murders, and she claimed to know nothing about it as far as any details. She doesn't know who shot who, what route they took, anything according to her about it. So at one point, George was worried that BCI was following them. Angela also claims Hannah Mae's Facebook they kind of just reiterate that this wasn't about custody, and that's just what we've been told for 6 years. I think the defense is really driving home the point that it wasn't just about having custody. I think that maybe escalating it to something where the child's being physically harmed. I don't know if, here's my question, y'all, by the way. When I was in Pioneer Land last night without internet, laying in my bed, I thought about this. I wonder if at any point Jake, George, and Angela got together away from Billy and talked about what they would say if they were all caught, got their story straight or whatever. Because if you think about it, Jake and Angela both have literally pinned Billy as the mastermind when all along we kind of thought it was Angela. I don't really know what to believe, to be honest, guys. I don't know who ultimately came up with the idea, but I do wonder, did they kind of have a little family meeting -1 and say, let's throw Dad under the bus? So George offered to say he committed all of the murders by himself. And in the end, Angela said the murders had nothing to do with custody. It was all about protecting Sophia. She said there's no words to describe how difficult testifying against George has been these last 3 days. She agrees she is guilty of the crimes and she will serve 30 years for that. In the end, ultimately, and probably in a big blow to George, all 4, according to Angela, are guilty of the crimes they're accused of. So that wrapped her up. I think that's pretty much it. I read through the afternoon notes. I didn't see much more that we haven't already said. So I'm headed out on the road, going to make a pit stop at the Big Buc-ee's in Florence before we hit Myrtle Beach. And I will see you guys Saturday. So I hope you have a good tomorrow. I'll see you on shorts or whatever. I totally am just going to put it out there. I'll probably be like in my sunglasses on the beach when I'm doing my shorts. But hey, you do what you can when you got a chill day. So little work, little pleasure. I'll see you guys tomorrow at some point. Have a good one.